Well, g'day all. One of these jobs where you spend days, literally 3 days doing it, use every tool that I own, and looks like I've done very little. But in actual fact, what I've managed to do is I've managed to get the Ziggy BBQ to fit into the Eildon Elite BBQ Hutch, which originally came with the marine type barbecue, which was kind of okay for two people because it had a number of hot and cold spots on it. But where it completely lost it for me was I couldn't get a pizza in. It was too small. The pizza stone or the pizza trays wouldn't fit inside, and that was its death knock. So it had to go. So I had this Hutch here, which housed the previous barbecue, as I said, and I wanted to retain it because the actual tunnel boot just keeps going all the way through there to the other side, and it's where I put my wheel chocks and my hoses and rattle gun to lift the legs down, and all that kind of crappy stuff. And I didn't want it bouncing around and landing on top of the barbecue, or I go to get the barbecue out and I've got a tangle of hoses around it or electrical cord around it or something. I didn't want any of that shit. I just wanted to be able to drag it out and put the bayonet fitting in and fire it up. So it obviously hasn't got the hose connected onto it yet, but that's a pretty easy job. So first of all, that was a challenge. So I had two choices. This little guy, who I really like, he's a really good little Barbie, or this guy. Now, this guy here would almost have gone in with some basic modification to the legs. I could have trimmed it down and almost got it in without having to remove the lid. I reckon I could probably have lost about 10-15 mil off both the legs at the bottom, and almost got it straight in on the slide. I would have had to alter the full width of the barbecue is too wide, and it's mainly because of this control knob. If it just had the arms on it either side, it probably would have gone in. But to modify the knob and the air gas mixture thing, the manifold I suppose it's called, it would have been really a bit of a dodgy job. This end, I probably could have cut the handle off or done something with that, remanufactured that to actually get it in. So look, it is an option. It's a great little Barbie, really kicks ass. Very happy with that Barbie. Makes a good pizza, and the pizza stone fits inside. No cold spots. The alternative was to go to the Ziggy, which has a slightly higher heat output. Apparently you can cook with the lid off, whereas the Weber you have to cook with lid on mainly. And what was necessary was it had to lose some width off the legs, and the locking mechanism either side had to go. So just to show you what we're dealing with, it fits in really smoothly. And I'll extract it. This is actually the original slide, the slide that the marine barbecue came on. It's got quite a lot of clearance there for the thing. Then the nice little locking mechanisms, it's stuck out about another 15 or 20 mil, which really put the kibosh on it. I had to go. So what I've done is I've made myself up a little thing, because one of the other advantages about this barbecue over the Weber is that everything locks in place. So you can lock the grill down, you can lock the lid down, so when you arrive somewhere you haven't got bits bounced out and all over the place. So that was another kind of advantage of this barbecue. So what I've had to do is make a locking mechanism. So this is my idea of the locking mechanism here, and it just slides in and locks it all together. And when you want a barbecue, you can just imagine yourself putting it there. What I can also imagine myself doing is leaving it in there, like having a few beers, setting fire to the plastic around the outside of the thing. And yeah, so I'm hoping that doesn't come true, but yeah, it's a possible outcome. So we'll see how that goes. It is actually heat shrink plastic, so it should be reasonably fire retardant. Anyway, so the lid goes down like this. So all good, it all fits in. Just, I reckon I probably have about maybe 3 mil at the back of the barbecue, and I've probably got about 3 to 4 mil at the front of the barbecue. So it's tight. Now, here's the thing for the people that think, oh, I'll just go down and buy some slides and I'll put a barbecue on and it'll all be honky-dory, because I actually bought some heavy-duty slides to replace these slides, because I thought, oh, they're a bit flimsy. And when I actually look at it, I think it's actually made up of 2 sets of slides. Now, here's the thing. The slide is 450 mil long, but the slide comes out nearly 700 mil. So it's what's called 150% draw slide. Now, to replace those 150% draw slides that the Caravan came with, you're looking at about $400 for the pair. So they're not cheap. So henceforth, why I didn't just quickly drill the legs onto some new slides and away I went. I had to reuse the existing ones. Then also you'll see I've pissed off the Ziggy legs, refabricated them, as I've said, and yeah, and it all works rather well. It's mainly there was a lot of fiddling around and mucking around with all the measurements and getting it all right, but I'm pretty happy that it's worked the way it has. So if you're thinking about getting a Ziggy into that Eildon or into your Elite Caravan or whatever caravan you've got that has that box type setup, it is possible. You can do it, and I would think it's the preferable method as opposed to having things bouncing around, like putting a massive slide in. I've seen some people, what they do is they'll put like 1.5 meter slide in there, and then they'll slide it out, and they might have other shit on there or whatever, but it comes out miles in order for them to get the clearance for the barbecue. And that's where these original draw slides that Elite provided are an absolute boon, because they will come out 150%. And if anyone's thrown them away and got rid of the tunnel boot, or the small opening, you'd be kicking yourself, because they're going to be really hard to replicate and really hard to find at a reasonable price. So yeah, feel free to comment and ask any questions. I'm kind of thinking about fabricating up some of these legs and bases, kind of like thinking about I could probably do them at a pretty reasonable price and just flog them so people can retrofit to their existing boot, put a Ziggy straight in there. And the other thing about the Ziggy, so the Ziggy has a higher lid than the Weber, so you can get a lot more in it roasting wise than the Weber, apparently. And then the other advantage with it is you can remove this section. You can obviously put hot plates in it or whatever, but you can remove this section and you can put what they're calling a trivet. It is sort of a trivet, and you can put 2 pots in there as well, and it's heat shielding around, so the pots are just the only things going in. How well any of that's going to work, I don't know, but as according to the Ziggy fan club, these barbecues are an absolute ripper. So yeah, I hope that explains what I've done, and yeah, any questions, feel free to add them in a comment. All right, yeah, thanks for watching.